Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. And in today's video, we are going to be continuing sort of a bit of our new player guide videos, although some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about here today might be relevant to you as well. And we're going to be talking about gear purging. We're going to be talking about how you could probably get rich on some silver because I bet you've been hoarding a lot of your gear. Whether it's a new account, whether it's an old account, there's a lot of problem when it comes to knowing how to sell your gear and what you should keep and what you should get rid of. So I'm going to be doing this from the perspective of both a new account like my alt, which I'm at level 41 or account level 41, and my main account who's much further ahead, who's been playing for about almost 11 months now, and how I get rid of gear from both of those perspectives. And hopefully, by the end of this video, I can net some good silver on my end as well and share these tips with you guys. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started playing Raid yet, what are you waiting for? Download using the QR code in the top right to get Narma the Returned, recently reworked champion, absolutely free. Really amazing. Don't forget, you're also going to get these three great epics alongside that. Ugo, Tagore, and my personal favorite, Deacon Armstrong at accounts level 15, 30, and 40. And you can use this promo code Demon Slayer to get Tholen Falbeard, DPS champion of the Dwarf faction, absolutely free. Great combo with these characters. So let's get started with my alt account. Now, first off, when you're a new player, you're probably just doing a lot of campaign farming. Maybe you're doing a little bit of dungeon farming. You're probably doing some Dragon's Lair because it's easy to get to, right? Like I'm able to get to. I'm 2 weeks in and I'm able to get up to stage 13, which allows me to farm 4 to 6 star gear. So this is going to be relevant to kind of like where you're at dungeons wise and how high of gear you're able to farm, which is going to kind of dictate how much of this we liquidate. So I want to start with my alt account and I want to start with some of my gear right off the bat. Like basically because I'm able to farm 4, 5, 6 star gear, which I kind of wait for 5 and 6 star drops. I'm kind of at the point where I would basically liquidate all of my 1 to 2 star and 3. I don't even know if I have any. This is probably from campaigns. 1 to 3 star. Absolutely. Just click the sell button, click select all, and then it can show you what it is. But you're probably not going to need any of this. So I would just do that just to start. 4 star gear. I would probably do this as well, honestly, and especially you can do this from like let's say 4 star gray, green, and blue of 4 star for an early account. Now, if you're really cautious about this, I could just do this, right? And this is going to be for sure my campaign. I've been farming the chapter 12, 12.6, the boots on my alt account. It's easier to farm with Tholen. So I go ahead and go sell that. Now, from there, we can kind of, actually, let's go to here as well, because I don't really need these gray boots either. So I'm going to go ahead and sell this stuff too. There we go, 5 star grays. I just don't like this stuff. Even as a new player, it's not really that big of a deal. Now, basically breaking it down from here, and this is going to be similar from both my main account and my alt account perspective. I want to talk, okay, well, we just got to finish this video before the server maintenance happens. But we can click on here. We can click on gloves, chest pieces, and boots. Okay, so this is pretty important because these are the ones that actually have stats. Now, I'm going to remove myself, and I probably should have done this earlier, but so you can see in the bottom left-hand corner and what I'm doing. So there is primary stats, and they have quite a bit. Now, one thing that's very easy to do is you're going to want to get rid of everything that is a flat flat stat. That's going to be HP, attack, and defense. The only consideration that you might want to keep it is if it has a substat of speed. And this is mostly relevant, I would say, to more late game players, honestly. For characters like Arbiter, for characters that you're using in Arena for like maximum speed, that's probably the only value that you're going to get out of them is just having that speed substat. So you could check individually if that's something that you care about. But for my early account, that's really not going to be a big deal. However, there may be some niche instances where you might want to keep this when you have literally nothing else. So if you're unable to farm other gear, there is some like 5-star gear, for example, that is something that you could do. So I'll start off with my 4 stars first and basically 4-star HP gear. And then I'm going to sell this, right? So I might keep some 5-star and 6-star in the early game only. So I just kind of want to just do that. And then I'm going to go do the same thing with attack. And I'm going to see how much there is. I'm probably not going to need this. even if the stats are, sorry, even if the sets are decent, realistically, the flat stats are just not scaling very well, even in the early game. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. Attack, we're going to sell this. Defense, flat defense, we're going to sell this too, right? There's not a lot of pieces that I have to sell, but we're going to do that anyways. Okay. And then first off, we're going to also go back actually to boots. Now, you may have heard me say this in one of my previous videos, and if you didn't watch my gearing video, I would go back and check that out. Every single character wants a speed stat boot, right? You're not going to sell this. You don't want to sell these speed main stat boots, okay? It's really important that you don't do that. So everything else, though, is basically a sell. There are very niche instances where you're going to be keeping this, but you're definitely going to be getting rid of anything that's a flat stat, right? So just looking at my boots, I think I've sold them already, but that's a sell, right? You know, anything that's a flat, that's a sell. So I will keep some of the percentage-based ones for now because I'm very early on, but by and large, I'm probably not going to use it. So I'm being a bit too cautious probably at this point. If there's any flat stuff, I am going to sell it. Nope, these are percentage-based. I probably already did sell it. Nope, that's a sell. Right, so on and so forth. Sell. We'll keep these because they're percentages. The only instance where you're going to keep percentage-based gear that's not speed are going to be very niche instances with specific characters that basically you don't need speed and speed doesn't matter. This could be like an ultimate death knight, a tank in arena, or something like a stone skin tank in arena. Certain characters like Calvalax, who you probably, if you're new, you probably don't know who this is, but it's a poison on spawn character that scales with attack. There's a void legendary for Knights Revenant called Hegemon, who also goes first regardless of speed. So you can kind of use attack percentage based boots, but it is very, very niche. And this is something that you can follow anyways for 99% of what you're doing. So we've kind of already liquidated that as well. Where things get a little bit tougher is going to be your weapons, your helmets, and your shields. Because for this, there is only one main stat, and that's going to be your attack. It's going to be your defense for shields, and it's going to be your HP for helmets. Now, this does take a little bit of a manual work. You can filter this a little bit. Here is my rule of thumb. I'm going to sell off everything that has 2 or more substats, 100%. Because sorry, did I say flat stats? I meant to say flat stats. 2 or more flat stats, and that's going to be, again, HP, attack, or defense. If it has 2 or more of this out of the total stats that it can have, which would be 3 for epics, 4 for legendaries. I don't know if I have very many for my alt account, and then 2 for blue. This might be harder to distinguish here for blue gear, but basically if you have blue gear that has 1 flat substat, that's probably going to be garbage as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go, just to show you this, we're going to go into our purple gear, right? And then I'm going to put on, does it have HP? But does it have HP and attack as well? None. Okay, so we take that off. Do we have HP and defense? None, apparently. Okay, so I don't really have that much trash gear. But it does have some HP flat, right? And so that's where I would check first. If it's blue gear, you're definitely going to want to get rid of it if it has 1 flat substat, okay? The things that you do tend to want to keep is going to be things with speed substats or a combination of speed and crit rate and things like this. This is nice, speed, crit rate, and accuracy, things like this. But when it comes to flat substats, apparently I don't have anything, unless let's expand it to orange gear. Do we have something with multiple substats? No, or flat stats? I'm surprised, actually. But this is my alt account, so if I went to my main account, absolutely. Could we have both these, attack and defense? No. Really? Quite shocking I don't have any of this. So maybe I don't have enough gear because, well, I only have 133 pieces out of 160. So I think what we should do is go onto my main account and see how much silver I can get there. Alright guys, we're back onto my main account here, and I have actually solved part of the problem, and my apologies for not recognizing this in advance. But there's actually only so many substats, flat substats rather, that can be on an item. So for example, for the weapon, you can have HP as a stat. You can also have, I suppose, HP percent, right? You could have both of them together. But you cannot have attack and you cannot have defense, and that's just specific to weapons. So that's easy to keep in mind as far as what to get rid of. And in this instance, I think I would probably get rid of most items that have a HP substat, right? And probably also a combination of these two. There might be a few exceptions where the item might be valid, with speed as usual is a really important, and sometimes crit rate, but you can see this item rolled twice And I don't really like that. It's probably not going to be that usable for me anymore because it rolled twice into flat HP. So that kind of sucks there. We're going to go over back to the other helmets as well. So helmets, for example, they cannot actually get any HP. You can see it here. I have nothing for some reason. And then also for HP percent, this does exist though. HP percent does exist, but HP flat does not. You can see that attack flat does exist and defense flat does exist as well. So an easy thing to do this would be like that, right? This would be the worst combination of helms to wear and to use, which would be flat attack and flat defense. So even though for some reason I do have a level 16 helmet that does actually, this is probably very old, right? And this is not something that I'm using anymore. You can see all of this. I don't have anything that's leveled up probably unless it contains a speed substat. That would be the only reason at all that I would even test it, that I would maybe take it to level 8. It looks like I have nothing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sell all of this. Now, it's only 20 items, right? But this does help. Apparently, it's a subset. It's got to be that Savage Helm on a character I've never used or haven't used for a long time. I'm still going to sell it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That makes things a little bit easier. And then we're going to go over to the shields. We still have so much more on this account. And honestly, it is not fast by any means to try and filter this. But hopefully this helps a little bit. You can see that there is flat HP on shields. Attack, there is no flat attack. And defense, there is no flat defense either. So this is very similar in a lot of ways to the weapon. So I am just going to right off the bat filter by HP substat. Now, that does not mean that everything here is garbage because I probably have a lot of speed. So you have to go one by one, and there's just not, in my opinion, there's not a really good way to kind of clear out these items. And it's sad, but you do have to go kind of one by one. Why do I have them not leveled? Well, that's kind of garbage, right? I don't need those. It is 2%, but there's no speed, there's no accuracy, there's no crit rate. There's nothing good on that. That honestly is a sell as well. Sell, no speed. This is, actually is okay. I would probably roll this up to see whether or not it actually had any value, but it does take time. And unfortunately, there's not a fast way for the weapons, shields, and helmets to be able to liquidate this faster. Now, for the shield, for me, I think something needs to have basically everything into speed for it to be valid, but that wouldn't be the same for you. That's just something to look out for. Now, I do kind of want to jump over back to, again, to the gloves, chests, and boots. Okay, so this is really important here. These are the easier ones to kind of separate out. We talked about this on my alt account here. You can see I have 541 pieces of just those three alone, probably because it's easier to liquidate, whereas like the top row, I have 954 pieces. So it takes a little bit more manual work in order to sell the weapons, helms, and gloves. You can very easily do this, right, with some of the primary stats that I mentioned. If it has HP, it's a sell. Flat HP, that's a sell. This was campaign stuff anyways. Flat attack, that's a sell, right? And so this is easy ways that you can just get rid of it. By and large, why do I have the impulse? Is there speed on? No. Okay, so that's there's a mission actually that requires impulse gear, so I'm gonna not sell that. But by and large, this is an easy way for you to sell stuff like that, and that's a good way to start, right? And after that, it does end up being about the substats, like I said before. So for gloves, I believe that these can have like everything, right? They can have all three of them. So, I mean, the way that I would do this is first kind of check, do any of them have 2 substats, right? All of this is garbage. I may have tested it for, I don't know, speed purposes, perhaps to see if they have a speed substat. But by and large, if it has 2 of these flat substats, I am not going to use it. Like I can't think of many instances where this is going to be something that I'm going to use. So HP defense, right? That's a sell. Let's go HP attack, right? So if they have that 2 substats, must be a very so that's interesting, right? Because it has a crit rate ascension here, and it has decent stats, and this is probably something that I used before, right? I don't know if this is something that I would be using now. It's a decent piece, but boy, having 2 flat substats kind of suck, but luckily it didn't roll into that. So maybe this is kind of usable, but by and large, having 2 flat substats usually is not. So I don't have very many pieces like that anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and sell those as well. Okay. So again, the only time where this would be valid is if it has a speed substat on top of that, right? That you might have rolled into. Let's go to, I guess, attack, and flat defense. How many of those do I have? About 5, right? Not very many. I have been actually liquidating quite often. with my bottom row, it's a little bit easier to do. Again, 2 rolls and 2 flat, so that's a sell. I meant to sell that as well. And then that's everything for the gloves. Again, I'm going to have to spend more time when it comes to the upper row, and that just takes a little bit of time, unfortunately, here. So we can go for the chest piece and do the exact same thing, right? We check for a flat HP, flat attack. There are some here. I'm probably going to sell all those. I highly doubt I have anything. I have 1 stone skin piece. What is this? Resistance. Interesting. Interesting. Is this something that I'm using in a... I might be. I'm wondering if it's something that I'm using in a current set. Because I do have a couple of resist sets. So I am actually going to refuse. I'm not going to sell that just now. But the rest I will. And this probably is not going to be a good item either. Although it's not a flat stats, it's just realistically, I'm probably not going to use it very seriously because of those 2 flat substats. But I'll just leave it for the moment. And then we're going to go over to HP and defense, do the exact same thing. Now, again, it's filtering, I don't have a whole lot of them, right? But that one does have speed. If you want to be very careful, you can just check if they have speed or not, because you might want to roll it anyways for like those arbiters in your arena. So you can check them one by one, but this kind of filters it down a touch. That didn't rolled once into speed, but I don't really want to keep that anyways. Accuracy, let's get rid of that as well. I don't like any of these flat stuff, so we're going to get rid of those 4. So again, you just kind of have to go through each of the pieces, do this for everything, and sadly, it is not very fast. Unless you want to do what I call the scorched earth perspective, and I am going to talk about this right now. I'm going to refilter, and you basically go like this, right? And depending on your progress in the game, you would just go like that, and you would sell everything. That's 156 items, including everything up to 5-star in blues, right? Where realistically, I don't know how much of this I am actually using in sets. I bet you it is, though. I bet you it is saved. Yeah, part of a preset. But realistically speaking, I need to fix my presets anyways. This is something I probably could do, but because I see some level 12s and 16 gear pieces, I am going to cut those out. But this is a very fast way that you can do to sell stuff, especially if you're like a couple of months in. I actually don't know that you would be using a lot of blue gear. I got to be honest. When you're at the point that you can farm 5 and 6-star gear, you kind of want to start thinking about purple gear and above only. There are some instances where you could do like maybe 6-star blue gear, and this might have some value, which I probably use a few of them. But you can see here that this is my entire set. This is my entire artifact listing of 6-star blue gear. It's 20 pieces. It's almost nothing. So for where I'm at in the game, I exclusively use basically only purple, orange, and above. Right? I almost liquidate when I use my when I'm grinding dungeons and I do the auto sell feature. I basically sell blue gear because it's less rolls. Blue gear only gets 2 pieces of rolls, right? It starts. Do I have any that's not level? I don't know if I do. You start with 2 substats, right? But when you do it with purple gear, you have 3 substats. And then when you have legendary gear, you have 4 substats. So all of this matters because it's going to be more and 5 with a mythical, although the red denotes that basically it's an extra roll into that item. And so that's why I guess at some point, especially by about 3+ months in, I think blue gear honestly loses a lot of value, with the exception of a few particular sets that you might want to keep. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. It is not, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, and probably said multiple times here, it's not a fast way to liquidate unless you want to go with the scorched earth approach. And I know a lot of people, including myself, are a little bit more conservative. One thing that I'm really tempted to do is burn every single 5-star gear piece. I have not done it yet. That's 492 artifacts that I really want to sell. That I really just want to sell now, but I know that it's part of some of my gear sets, and so I don't frequently use 5-star gear now at about 10-11 months into the game, and I mostly keep upgrades that are in the 6-star territory. But there will be some instances, especially around speed, where this might be relevant still. And so, unfortunately, as much as I want to do this, this probably is not the wisest decision to make. One thing I forgot to touch on in the video, which I'm going to be sliding somewhere into this video, is accessories, because I knew that if I didn't cover this, someone's going to ask about this. This one is a little bit more difficult, and this is where you kind of need to have to cut things off in terms of what star ranks that you're keeping. So I have 889 out of 1600 accessories here. So as far as filtering goes and what is usable, you got to understand that at some point you're not going to be using accessories on new characters as frequently, right? You're going to be a little bit more picky, so to speak. One thing that I would do right off the bat is tend to keep most special accessories. This is going to be different sets outside of the standard spider drops. It's going to be Protection Slayer, whatever, Chronophage from the last event dungeon, Blood Shield if you have any, Pinpoint, which is a while ago, Feral, Stone Skin, and any other special ones that you keep. I tend to keep those unless I look at the. We're going to talk about how I differentiate that. Otherwise, I probably don't need this many. Like I don't need this many stuff for all of my different characters because most of them typically are equipped with something. Right? There's very few instances where I keep secondary accessories for characters, except for like resistance sets for Chimera. Now, an easy way to just cut it off is like realistically, I'm not going to be using any 4-star, and I don't know if I have any on this account anyways. So right off the bat, I'm going to be selling anything under 5-star. Absolutely, 100%. Because I'm at the point where I can farm this in my spider, and I can get 5 and 6-star drops of the regular. And honestly, once you get to that part as well, where you're getting 6-star regular accessories, I probably would cut off your 5 stars as well. But you have to make sure that you're selling the regular stuff and you're not selling the special gear pieces. So unfortunately, there is no great filter way to not sell that stuff off, right? You would have to filter in a different way. So you kind of have to do this a little bit manually, one by one, and kind of sell that depending on what you feel comfortable with. And this is going to vary. What I feel more comfortable with selling, honestly, is going to be 5 and 6-star blue gear. But I don't sell the special set items still. You can see that I probably have already gone through this recently because I don't actually have a lot of regular gear pieces anymore. Like that's a sell. Any special stuff I am going to keep, right? I don't think I have a whole lot left. Some standard, maybe there's a little bit. You know what? I might actually keep that to roll a speed. That's the only thing. Speed is on banners. So that's something that you might want to consider. But otherwise, that's going to be a sell, right? I'm not sell, 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 sell. If it doesn't have speed on a banner, I'm probably going to sell it as well, right? So this is a good way to kind of figure out what you're going to keep and what you're going to not. Most blues for me, and I would say about 4 to 6 months on, you're probably not using a lot of blues either. I just sometimes keep these because the special ones are 9-piece sets, and those are kind of rare, and so that's why I'm going to want to keep that and not sell it, right? Like, there's probably so many more. I didn't have that much more. We're pretty much done. Undead Hordes, I had a few things here. Crit damage necklaces, sometimes I do keep for my alt characters, and then if it has speed on a banner, that's something that I would keep as well. But otherwise, I'm going to sell that. So my threshold, see, I could do purples, right? And I have a lot more purples and legendary pieces. And that's where I'm going to have to go. This is where things get a little bit trickier, right? Especially for players that are kind of in that, kind of where I'm at, right? And by and large, I would kind of attribute the same thing. If it doesn't have speed on a banner, I will most likely sell it. If it's a regular item, if it's a regular set, and does not have speed, I will most likely sell it, right? If it has speed, it depends on how much speed it has, right? So I do keep a small assortment. Like this is going to be a sell because it just didn't roll into speed at all. And it's a lot of gold, silver, a lot of silver actually that you get from selling accessories. So this is something that you're going to have to do one by one in an assessment on. Unfortunately, you don't need too many of the same piece as well, right? So that's going to be a sell. That might be a keep, but I don't like flat stats either. I mean, if we go back to what I said before about flat stats, I really don't like that because you can probably get multiple, and that's something I need to check actually. So banners, for example, and there is a lot of flat stats on necklaces. That's not much you can do about because they don't have percentages there. But for substats here, can you get a collection of I think HP and attack? You can get 2. Okay, so at that point, it's probably not going to be very good. When it comes to mythicals, though, that's a little bit different because you can get quite a few stats on that. But I'm going to go with like purple. If you have a purple drop that has 2 substats flat, it's probably crap, right? It's probably crap even if it's a special one. Honestly, I'm probably not going to use it because that's a lot of flat stat stuff. I'm surprised I have this, but this has a speed. I bet you I'm using that for Mikey. So I'm going to go ahead. It's not very many. 16, not going to sell that one. But by and large, I doubt I'm using any of these other ones because that is a lot of flat stats. Now, what I could do is I could check to see if any of these have speed as well on top of them, right? And not sell that. So that's a thing too. Maybe I should have checked them one by one, because if they do have speed, right, I might want to roll it up. And so this is where you kind of have to spend some time and kind of sell it individually, because if it does have any speed on it, you might want to roll it up just to see, right, just to see if it's going to roll anything. You never know. So then you kind of have to not sell it. So that's the unfortunate part. Even specials, I would probably sell if it has 2 or more flat substats. I don't like that at all. So I can kind of have to check this one by one here, and it's not super amazing here. There we go. It's not fast at all. This is why I only do this like once a month, really, because it does take a while, unfortunately, to be able to check these all. But you're going to get a lot of silver, especially for selling accessories. Honestly, if I liquidated more of this stuff, that you're probably going to have like, oh boy, like even just doing what I did today got me like another 15 million silver. But if I liquidated way more, which I do need to do at some point when I need to sit down, I'm probably going to get way more. So I hope some of this helped on the accessories front. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I hope some of the tips in here helped you to maybe kind of differentiate what gear is sellable and what gear is not, and other ways that you can kind of get rid of things a little bit quicker. I know it's not the fastest thing to do. I tend to sit down like once a month, and unless I'm at my cap, I tend to sit this once per month and do a big sell that way. But before we finish the video, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started Raid yet after all of this, download using the QR code in the top right hand to get Narma the Returned absolutely free, and these 3 amazing epics to go alongside her: Ugo, Tagore, and my favorite, Deacon Armstrong, at accounts level 15, 30, and 40. And don't forget to use the promo code Demon Slayer to get yourself the free legendary Tholan Foulbeard amazing DPS champion absolutely free within the first 48 hours of a brand new account. Demon Slayer. Okay, that's it for now, everybody, and I'll see you guys on the next video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.